the king of Iron Fist Tournament. Enter the Tekken.
The Tekken 8 story mode brings the conclusion to the 30-year-long Mishima family feud, as Jin and Kazuya are left as the remaining players in their long family rivalry. Through accepting his past and wanting to live for the future, Jin was able to defeat Kazuya, ending a saga of conflict. But of course, where one story ends, another one begins, and that is apparent in one of the franchise's newest characters, Reina. Reina is a character shrouded in mystery, but a character whose shadow is very familiar. As we learn, she's a daughter of Heihachi Mishima, and like Lars, another one of his illegitimate children. But unlike Lars, she's so much more like Heihachi. From fighting style to personality, it seemed that she was in the shadows this whole time and finally revealed herself to us after Heihachi passed in Tekken 7. But so much is left unanswered about her, even in Tekken 8, when she herself also possesses the Devil Gene. Who even is she? Where does she come from? And is she even really Heihachi's actual kid? In this video, I'm going to see if I can piece together who she really is, from her origins, her motives, and how she even has the Devil Gene to begin with. Let's start with Reina's origins. Although her story is mainly shrouded in mystery throughout the main campaign, once you beat the main campaign, you can play as Reina through a character episode, and it shows a little more about her backstory.
Reina, the secret daughter of Heihachi Mishima, attended Mishima Polytechnical School. She loved and respected her father, whom she saw as a role model, but Heihachi vanished after his defeat by Kazuya Mishima.
With that in mind, we learn that she grew up admiring Heihachi and saw him as a role model, probably meaning, compared to Lars, she had some sort of relationship with him. Which, I know, considering who we are talking about, that sounds ridiculous, but I've also seen some other really wild theories on her origins, like her being a clone of Kazumi, Heihachi, or Kazuya, which honestly is pretty possible, but at the same time doesn't seem very likely, as the last Heihachi saw Kazumi was in the early 70s and he tossed Kazuya into a volcano during Tekken 2's events in the mid-90s. Although I do believe Heihachi did get DNA samples of either Kazumi or Kazuya's, I don't think they were enough for a genetic clone, nor do I think he would want a genetic clone of the two people he knew that would want to really kill him. So in terms of her birth, I think that Reina was pretty much just like Lars, but the difference being Heihachi actually found her and took care of her. Who her mother might be, I don't know. I really doubt it's another Hachijo, cause Heihachi isn't dumb and would 100% know the risks that would come with even being near a Hachijo. But I'll get back to that in a second. I also don't think Reina is possessed or being controlled by Heihachi's like AI or Heihachi's ghost, cause honestly it seems really unlikely for someone like Heihachi to do that. Heihachi is a man who does whatever he wants and does it with pride, and if you don't like it, you know where you can stick your opinion. It doesn't matter if you're family, a friend, an environmental activist, or the Prime Minister of Poland. You know your damn role and you shut your damn mouth. He really doesn't care. So, for Reina to be so knowledgeable in the Mishima family feud and the Mishima karate, Heihachi must have had a good relationship with her to basically teach her all these things. Unless you guys believe Reina really went on the internet. And I know, that's really wild because Heihachi is the king of daddy issues when it comes to taking care of boys. But he was nice to one girl he took care of. It's okay if you don't remember this plot point because honestly who would, but Ling Xiaoyu was also under the care of Heihachi and is still considered one of the very few people Heihachi actually really liked. If you don't remember, in Xiaoyu's Tekken 3 origin, she snuck on a boat in Hong Kong with the Mishima name on it, ready to fight Heihachi if given the chance to make her dream come true of owning an amusement park, and beat up a majority of Heihachi's security. It would honestly be in Heihachi's character to throw this girl off a cliff or shoot her with a bullet, but instead, Heihachi actually ended up really liking her, and gave her the opportunity to fight in the King of Iron Fist tournament to achieve her dreams if it was possible. Additionally, Heihachi also covered everything about Xiaoyu's expenses, sending her to his prestigious school, which was Mishima Polytechnic in Japan, where he paid for her tuition, took care of her as a legal guardian, and gave her a pet bear just like him. Heihachi gave her Panda. Heihachi didn't have to do that for Xiaoyu, and yet he did. For what reason, I don't know, but they would develop a pretty strong bond with each other, and even if Xiaoyu began to distrust Heihachi in Tekken 5, she still called him basically Grandpa. I know this dude hates his sons, but I don't doubt that he might just be a girl dad, and would treat his daughter much more better than he would ever treat his sons. Also, it would make sense for Reina to be kind of similar to Xiaoyu that way, as when Heihachi was taking care of both Jin and Xiaoyu, he both enrolled them into Mishima Polytechnic, the same school that Reina is attending. And that seems to check out as well, as Elisa did scan Reina during the tournament and found nothing sketchy on her in her very big database.
レイナ選手は三島高専に退学中。入学以前にも不審なデータはありません。
So from what I can piece together, honestly, lore-wise in my opinion, is that Reina had a pretty normal childhood and, like Xiaoyu, was taken in by Heihachi. It would explain why she's so knowledgeable in the Mishima-style karate, the Mishima family feud, and on top of that, having a loyalty to her father. And so I think that's where her origins lie. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into the really complicated stuff, which is gonna be her devil gene. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. How does she have the devil gene? There's a lot of theories on how it was possible, and honestly, it's all fair game because if she's a child like Lars, she should have no relation to the devil gene whatsoever. This is where most people would bring up the Hachijo clan, which although I may not agree with, isn't wrong or impossible. However, I think she does have the gene from a different reason, that being a thrown away plotline during the events of Tekken 4. In Tekken 2, after defeating Kazuya, Heihachi became infatuated with the idea of the devil gene. Its power that took over Kazuya fascinated him with how strong his son became, and he wanted to replicate it for his own personal use. He would try to replicate it with his own samples of the devil gene, probably collected from either Kazumi or Kazuya, and replicate these devil gene powers to create super soldiers. These experiments revolved around getting lab-created babies and injecting the devil gene in them. However, this project would be labeled as a failure, as most of the babies would die after being injected with the devil gene when they grew older, and because of it, the project would be closed forever. Technically though, it was a failure. One child did survive these experiments, but never got the same powers Kazuya had. Instead, he would have increased speed and increased strength. That character being Tekken 8's current middleweight champion, Steve Fox. However, even though he's incredibly strong and incredibly gifted, he doesn't have the same powers Kazuya did. So regardless of its success, it was still a failure. He would try to retry this process again, but instead tried to use the organic tissue of Ogre in Tekken 3, and either Jin or Kazuya if he could lure them into the King of Iron Fist Tournament 4, which he was able to do, but his pride and stubbornness would lead to both of them escaping, and his supposed death. He would survive this, but he would lose control of Saibatsu, forcing him to rebuild his empire. Genuinely stumped between the events of Tekken 5 and 6, I have a feeling he tried the experiment one last time, with the knowledge that maybe these experiments failed because he tested them on children who never had Mishima blood in them. Maybe it would work with the only Mishima he knew at the time, that Mishima being Reina. And I assume that it did end up working, with Reina getting her devil powers but not knowing how to activate them. I also don't think that it was something forced upon Reina and she voluntarily took the devil gene, as I assume to her it was an act of loyalty to her father, and it also explains her main motives and goals in the Tekken 8 campaign, as throughout the campaign she was trying to understand how the devil gene activated. She only knew that at the time it was activated through a near-death experience, but didn't know where to start. That's exactly why she entered the King of Iron Fist tournament. and that's why she was so eager to see her match with Jin, because as long as she could stick around with Jin, she could get an insight on how her powers can be activated.
貴様が覚醒する原因となった技、とくと味わう。命を脅かすほどの危機がデビル化の鍵か。面白い。
枝だ。ゴーさんです。ゴーさん。
勝者風間仁選手。
And with that, it takes us to present time, basically now, with Reina walking straight into Kazuya's laser, activating her Devil Gene power, re-beginning the Mishima feud for a new chapter. What's next for Reina in these coming entries? Revenge. With Kazuya killing their father, Reina feels like she has a duty to kill Kazuya and avenge her father. But I have a feeling she won't be satisfied or thrilled to see Kazuya probably under the care of Jun Kazama. What happens next, I can't know until we get story DLC like MK Aftermath, but one thing's for sure, Reina has implemented herself in this new Mishima storyline, and until she gets her revenge, we'll be seeing her a lot more in the Tekken storyline. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, a comment, a share, subscribe, and let me know. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong about Reina? Do you think there's something I missed out? Please let me know in the comments, and I will see you all in a next video.